Welcome. This is David Boles, Human Meme. Today's topic, Trinity Moments. A Trinity moment is something from which we cannot reoccur or recover. A Trinity moment is something that, once invented, cannot be undone and will always be used once it exists in the world. Pandora's box is the primary historical example of a Trinity moment. During World War II, we had a Trinity Test, and that is the modern parallel for a Trinity moment. From the .gov website, the Office of History and Heritage Resources, a test of the plutonium bomb seemed vital. However, both to confirm its novel implosion design and to gather data on nuclear explosions in general, several plutonium bombs were now in the pipeline and would be available over the next few weeks and months. It was therefore decided to test one of the bombs. Robert Oppenheimer chose to name this the Trinity Test, a name inspired by the poems of John Donne. The site chosen for the explosions was a remote corner of the Jornada del Muerto, the Journey of Death, located 210 miles south of Los Alamos. Here's the John Donne poem reference from the poem A Litany, written in 1896. Here's the Trinity portion. It's part 4 of the long-form poem.
O blessed, glorious Trinity, bones to philosophy, but milk to faith, which, as wise serpents diversely most slipperiness, yet most entanglings hath, as you distinguished, undistinct, by power, love, knowledge be, give me a such self-different instinct. Of these, let all me elemented be, of power to love, to know, you numbered 3.
The .gov history lesson continues. The Trinity Test Director, Kenneth Bainbridge, called the explosion a foul and awesome display, and remarked to Oppenheimer, "Now we are all sons of bitches." Oppenheimer later wrote that the experience called to his mind the legend of Prometheus, punished by Zeus for giving man fire. And Oppenheimer said also that he thought fleetingly of Alfred Nobel's vain hope that dynamite would end wars. Oppenheimer said this after the war.
We knew the world would not be the same. Few people laughed. Few people cried. Most people were silent. I remembered the line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita. Vishnu is trying to persuade the prince that he should do his duty, and to impress him takes on his multi-armed form and says, "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." I suppose we all thought that one way or another.
Yes, the Trinity Test was a success, if you can call it that. The uranium bomb design was untested but presumed reliable, and the successful plutonium bomb explosion was ready to be replicated in a drop on Japan. Little boy, the uranium bomb, slammed into Hiroshima August 6, 1945. Fat Boy, the plutonium bomb, blistered Nagasaki 3 days later. Here's Oppenheimer again, speaking about the terror of ideas. After the war, as a Princeton professor and director of the Institute for Advanced Study.
I only get frightened when, and it happens very rarely, I think I have an idea. That is, what people find isn't frightening, but the understanding of it sometimes has this quality. I remember a man who was my teacher in Göttingen, who's in Chicago now, James Franck. He said, the only way I can tell whether my thoughts are really have some weight is the sense of terror when I think of something new.
Oppenheimer also reflected on the meaning of humanity and on knowing what we don't know.
You can certainly destroy enough of humanity so that only the greatest act of faith can persuade you that what's left will be human. But this is a matter on which much, much, much more should be known. There's every reason for us to say what we know, and above all to say what we don't know.
Trinity moments are unique and devastating, and often bring death and greed to the earth, and not goodness or love to the sky. The repeating rifle, the Gatling gun, mustard gas, ceramic rifles, 3D pistols. Sometimes a Trinity moment happens in medicine, where the devil cannot be put back into hell, like cochlear implants for the deaf, where doctors who hold the medical view that deaf people are broken and need intervention for fixing, and these doctors play God by trying to make deaf people medically hearing again while ripping away their culture and killing their language. If you can suddenly and miraculously hear, why would you ever need American Sign Language? Boom, gone, done. One more generation, and deafness, like the plagues of smallpox and polio and all those other icky diseases before deafness, is healed, finished, stricken from the face of the earth. That's the medical plan for the deaf. Eradicate the hearing loss to kill the culture. Can there be a Trinity moment for people? People who changed the rest of the world in their being or death. The birth of Alexander the Great. The assassination of JFK. Are there Trinity moments in technology? The dawn of the Internet. The first email that was sent. Google Glass. The best of us strive to create our own Trinity moments and Trinity tests. And the intention of the manipulation is not always pure or for the greater goodness. We must always be wary of activating our demons. We'll close with a final thought from Robert Oppenheimer as he confesses there are too many unknowns available in the complete possible destruction of humanity, including the genetic consequences of being the father of death on Earth.
The genetic problems, the problems of what might happen in the future to the human species as a result of having radioactivity in the body or having radiation outside, the geneticists don't know enough to be sure of that. We do know what happens if you're near an explosion, a bomb explosion. We know it from experience and from common sense. The things we know ought to be in the public domain, so people are fearful only in the measure in which fear is justified and rational. The things that aren't known should be talked about, because one of the ways to get things found out is to have it clear that we don't know the answers, and also one of the ways to give people the kind of responsibility and humanity which we would like to think we have is that they recognize when they don't know something and take their very ignorance into account in their planning.
Thank you for listening. Be a human meme.